দর্শক আজকে ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশন অনুষ্ঠানে আমাদের সাথে আছেন আমেরিকার বিশিষ্ট ইমিগ্রেশন অ্যাটর্নি মারিজান। অ্যাটর্নি মারিজানের জন্ম ক্রোয়েশিয়াতে। তিনি 25 বছর আগে যুক্তরাষ্ট্রে আসেন এবং এখানে দীর্ঘদিন থেকে তিনি ল প্র্যাকটিস করছেন। অ্যাটর্নি মারিজান ইমিগ্রেশন বিষয়ক একজন বিশিষ্ট আইনজীবী এবং এ পর্যন্ত শত শত লোক তার মাধ্যমে ইমিগ্রেশন বেনিফিট পেয়েছেন। তিনি আমাদের স্টুডিওতে এসেছেন, আমরা তাকে ওয়েলকাম করছি। ওয়েলকাম মিস্টার মারিজান।
Thank you.
So Mr. Marijan, can you just tell us, how you start your business, where you get your law degrees and all these things?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us about you.
Exactly. Really big pleasure. Thank you, and thank you for having me. I was born in a country at that time was called Yugoslavia, and then when I actually came to America, Yugoslavia disappeared. And then the only thing was left where I was really from was the Republic of that Yugoslavia by the name of Croatia. So the country that I'm really, I usually say today I'm from Croatia. Indeed, I came from Yugoslavia. I finished law degree first in Croatia. Don't ask me, it's too many years ago. I sometimes want to hide it, but that was more than 25 years ago. So basically, I finished law degree in Croatia. I came to America with a foreign student visa as a foreign student for graduate studies. I actually came to study both economics and law because I wanted to have something a little bit bigger, a little bit broader, not just only law. I wanted to have a little bit of business and economics as well. So I studied and I completed my master's degree in international relations and international economics at the Johns Hopkins University, which is in Baltimore. People would usually say that this is for doctors because Johns Hopkins is very well known for its medical school, but it also have a very good school of advanced international studies where people actually study both law and economics and international relations. After that, I moved to New York. I worked in some law firms in Washington, D.C. Then I moved to New York. I worked for various law firms here in New York. And, I had to go once again to law school in America in order to become licensed, to be able to stand for basically pass the bar exam and to become licensed attorney. I had to go back to law school once again here in New York. So I went back to school, which really was fun for me. I really didn't feel it was a problem at all. I went to school which is called New York Law School. And in the New York Law School, so I finished once again. So I really have a European law degree and American law degree, just to serve our nice big Bangladeshi and other communities in Queens and New York, which we have. I think that this is very important because it gives me one perspective on things. It is very important to have American law degree. You have to know what American law is, what it says, and you have to be licensed to be a lawyer here. But it's also very important to understand economics, and it's very important to understand global relations. And I will tell you why. A lot of my applications, for not only for people from Bangladesh, we speak about people from many other countries, involve things like political asylum. You cannot do the application for political asylum if you don't understand global relations, if you don't understand international relations, if you don't understand the political situation in the country. So for example, in Bangladesh, if you don't understand the interplay between political parties in Bangladesh, that you have a BNP, that you have Awami League, that you have a Jamaat Islamiyah, that you have a local forces, that you have army generals and colonels, that you have a big firms like Petro Bangladesh and many others. And the interplay there, if you don't understand the political situation, you cannot really prepare a political asylum application because you have to be able to defend it before the United States Immigration Service. You have to explain to Immigration Service why you're applying for someone's political asylum, and you may have to, sometimes happens, that you actually even explain to the immigration judge at the immigration court. How are you going to do that? If you don't understand economics, if you don't understand politics, if you don't understand international relations, if you don't have an American degree and another degree, this is impossible. So, in my view, this is really very important that I have that international background. Now, in addition to political asylums, and this is not only for Bangladesh, we are speaking about Pakistan, we are speaking about many other countries now. We had a military coup just recently in Thailand. Everyone is now following what's going on in Ukraine, between Ukrainians and the separatists and the Russian separatists and the others. Yes. So one has to understand all of these political forces to be able to prepare political asylum application to represent the clients if you really want to have a good lawyer who will win your case. If you really, if you just want someone who's just going to write whatever in the papers and send it to immigration service, it doesn't have any chance. Most probably you're going to be deported anyhow. So, you know, why waste money? But if you want someone to really prepare the application, the lawyer has to understand political situation and cannot make mistakes. Now, that brings me back to another issue which probably all the viewers know, and you'll be surprised that I know it too, but I have a reason why. In Bangladesh, you have a nice city on the north of the country called Sylhet. So what's happening in Sylhet is that currently the mayor of the Sylhet and the administration of the Sylhet is BNP. However, the regional and national government is Awami League. So now, when somebody says, well, you know, I'm having political problems because supporters of one party or the others are creating problems to me, you know, one has to be able to understand what is really going on there and what is going on with the police force, whether they can actually get a protection from the police and the courts there, or the local activists are creating problems, and explain it to the American Immigration Service. If the lawyer doesn't understand the politics, if the lawyer doesn't understand these global economic and other relations, he or she simply cannot do that. This is not going to work, and unfortunately the application is going to be denied and potentially client put in jeopardy that he can be actually deported from the United States. They now call it removed. I don't know what is worse than the other, but it's really old-fashioned deportation.
Okay, so who will be eligible to ask for political asylum?
Well, American immigration law says that in order to apply for political asylum, a person must either experience past persecution, which means problems in the past, and they have to be significant problems. We'll talk about which problems, so that's so-called past persecution. The word persecution in English means heavy, significant human rights violations and issues. That's what it really means. It has many meanings, but it really means something significant. It's more than just getting fired from the job. It has to be more than just that. And more than just a pure discrimination or inconvenience over something. So it can't be that somebody has taken somebody's parking lot and that you qualify for political asylum. No, it has to be much more than that. Or the person can say, no, nothing happened to me in the past, but I fear going back, the so-called well-founded fear of persecution in the future. There is also one very important thing here, not only for our Bangladeshi community, but for many others as well. And unfortunately, the American law says that you can only apply for political asylum within a first year of arrival to the United States. However, because of the international treaties and international pressure on America, because this is such a basically discriminatory and such a bad provision in the law, simply because people come to America and they stay here as students, as in many other status, and then bad things happen in their countries after 1 year. No one plans to apply for political asylum, it just happens, because you can go back. Then they changed the law and said, okay, unless there are substantial changes in country circumstances. So this is one very important thing which I like to say now. There are not too many, but there are some people from Bangladesh and other countries who are illegal here in the United States, without papers, undocumented immigrants. You can call them any way you want. I tend to call them illegal. It is okay to call them that way. What happens with them is that most of them believe that after 3, 4, 5 years they cannot apply for political asylum. Unfortunately, because of the political situation in Bangladesh and everything that's going on now, actually they qualify for asylum right now. This is the moment to do that. Not to wait another 3 to 5 years, and I wish that the situation would improve immediately, that all the problems will be solved with the elections, with the economy, with the corruption, with the government, and everything else that's going on there. There's no need for me to, for viewers to repeat that, because everyone knows what's going on there. However, we don't believe so, and it's probably, unfortunately, going to take another year or two, and some people are actually saying much longer than that. So the moment to apply is really now, because they can use that provision, basically that this is a changed country circumstances, that the level of violence and the problems between these two leading parties, the Awami League on one hand and the BNP, at this point the level of violence is such that it really changes the entire situation, and that people cannot go back to Bangladesh. So even if somebody is illegal and came to this country 10 years ago and simply stayed, can now get legalized through the political asylum procedure. So that's the answer as to who really qualifies.
Okay, so you are thinking that Awami League and BNP both are fighting. So this is the best time to ask for political asylum. So who will be? If someone is not Awami League if someone is not BNP, or if someone is Awami League or BNP, who the person supposed to get the benefit of the political asylum?
Well, that's a good question, and this is why I use highly individualized approach to all of these applications. You cannot just rubber stamp it. You cannot just produce it like a robot. You cannot just industrially produce political asylum applications. What I do and what should really be done, and in that respect, I have to tell you also, last year I was a co-chair of the committee on unauthorized practice of law, and it was also called, it was supposed to be ethics and unauthorized practice of law, but then the name was too long, so we called it only Committee for Unauthorized Practice of Law of the New York chapter of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. So I was judging all other lawyers and everyone else doing all kind of things, and this was one of them that I'd like to say is a particularly bad practice. You cannot produce these asylums on an industrial scale. The reason why is exactly because of your question. You need to look, and what we need to do is sit down with the client, and then we see really what the situation is. The person doesn't have to be member of the Awami League, doesn't have to be member of the BNP party, doesn't even have to be a supporter. What we need to see, what potential fear, first, we have to see, was there any past persecution? Did anything bad politically or in any other respect happen to the person in the past? Which you have, you would find it unfortunately very often. Now, recently we had, and it's been in your news and it's been on your television, so there is no need for me to remind the viewers of that, really extrajudicial killings, people found on the streets, people found in the rivers, bodies found, all around. So it's not necessary that somebody is a politician, or not necessarily that something bad happened in the past. What it really has to be is that someone has some legal ground to say, look, I'm really, I fear going back because I'm in favor of human rights and democracy and freedom of religion, and then basically for anti-corrupt government and something, and I'm afraid that as such, because people know my political opinion in the group, or many other reasons, I fear going back. A special problem, which I have a couple of cases now, are people who were, or still are, businessmen in Bangladesh. So we're not only in Bangladesh, many other countries as well, because they have businesses, they have employees. Very often they're subject to these threats, and they ask them for ransom, they ask them basically for money, they ask them for bribes, they ask them for these various extortion campaigns, as Americans would call it. This is when somebody comes to the shop and asks them, tell them, look, you need to support, and I'm not going to name the party, it really doesn't matter at this point. You need to support, you have a shop with 10 people, 20 people, you have a small garment factory, a garment shop, or a fashion design shop now very often, and you need to give us a certain number of money per month, to our political party, or we are going to beat you and all of your employees if you're going to ultimately close you down. Or we'll send you police, we'll send you tax authorities. They're going to tax you, they're going to find in your book something, of course it doesn't exist. So these are typical, they call it blackmails or bribes, they start asking for. In New York, they call it like an extortion, really, that you're trying to get money out of someone. Now, of course, they claim it is for political purposes. However, that particular person, a lot of these small businessmen that are saying, look, it is becoming unbearable. We just simply can't keep on giving money to these political parties. So we can't, and we stop giving them money, something bad happens to us. So it's not necessary that somebody, and they come to my office, they say, no, I'm not dealing with politics, and I'm not going to tell Immigration Service or anyone else that a person is politically involved, but it doesn't have to be. Because of the political situation, unfortunately, they get involved.
Thank you so much. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Viewers, please stay with us. We'll come back soon.
দেশে যখন টাকা পাঠাই তখন আমি সোনালী এক্সচেঞ্জ থেকেই পাঠাই। আমিও তাই। সোনালী এক্সচেঞ্জ সরকারি আর্থিক প্রতিষ্ঠান, অর্থ পৌঁছে যায় অতি দ্রুত রাষ্ট্রীয় নিরাপত্তায়। এর মাধ্যমে অর্থ পাঠালে দেশেরও লাভ।
সোনালী ব্যাংকের 1200-রও বেশি শাখায় স্পট ক্যাশ এবং ব্যাংক হিসেবে তাৎক্ষণিকভাবে টাকা পৌঁছে যায়। অন্য যে কোনো ব্যাংকেও টাকা পৌঁছে যায় দ্রুত।
সোনালী এক্সচেঞ্জের অর্থ যায় বৈধ পথে।
সোনালী এক্সচেঞ্জ, 20 বছরেরও বেশি সময় ধরে প্রবাসীদের সেবা দিয়ে আসছে।
পড়েছ শাড়ি রূপসী নারী সাজে বাহারি, পায়ে মল কানে দুল, হাতে কাকন সুন্দরী তুমি, কেড়েছ দৃষ্টি ছুঁয়েছ
Vasavi Fashion, for every season, every reason.
Welcome back, Mr. Marijan. We spoke about the political asylum. Now we'll talk about what is the other way people could be benefited by the immigration.
Yeah, it looks like that somehow we started from our real problems and now we are developing into other solutions. I really don't want viewers to think that political asylum is the main or the principal way of getting American green card and getting American passport. It's really not. It's unfortunately only the due, as I was saying before, the situation that it's somehow easier now, to do that than it was a couple of years ago. But let's look into the two main ways of getting green card. The first one is through the family. So if somebody has a family connection, the family connection could be husband or wife, so that's number one, or parents who are American citizens, same goes for husband and wife who is a permanent resident, or brother and sister. There is and brother and sister must be a citizen. There is one very important thing which I would like to mention here. There are some actually other categories like a green card spouse and then, basically children of green card holders and things like this. But it's really family immigration. All of these family immigration cases are subject to certain quotas. Quota means a limitation. So that's a certain number that every year United States would issue green cards or admit into the United States. There is no limitation, there's no quota for husband and wife and for parents because they are so-called immediate, and for children, of course, that go with whoever it is. They are the so-called immediate relatives. These immediate relatives have also some other benefits, particularly if they are illegally present in the United States. However, all others are subject to terrible quotas. And what you need to understand is one particular category that I've seen being used a lot from many countries.